That's a sound many dispensary owners and customers are tired of hearing. Marijuana is still federally illegal, which means no banks, no credit cards, and a whole lot of cash. And with cash comes risk. Last week, the 200-foot piece of plastic that covers this greenhouse was whipped up 50 feet up in the air due to an Oregon windstorm. Next week, here at the EMU, Students for Life will be holding their event, You Don't Need Planned Parenthood. The red and blue in your rearview mirror can be enough to get anyone's heart racing. But what can you expect when pulled over for a possible DUI? Without a standardized test to measure impairment due to marijuana, determination of sobriety comes down to this in-the-field test and officer's training. The test consists of 3 parts: eye movement, balance, and the ability to follow directions. But without a blood alcohol content level to fall back on, determining sobriety can be complicated. Max Majeski is a lawyer specializing in DUIs and is concerned with the subjectivity of this system.
So there's no exact science when it comes to determine if somebody's high or not on a certain controlled substance.
Officers go through training to be more prepared to identify sobriety in the field. Some of the main things they are looking for are red eyes, drowsiness or the inability to follow directions, and the smell of marijuana on the person or in the vehicle. Officer Bo Macavis of the UOPD recognizes that it isn't a perfect system, but assures that officers have the public's best interest in mind.
That's often the final question they ask themselves is, if my family was out there, if my child was trick-or-treating or walking across the street, could I trust this driver to be able to operate his vehicle safely?
Both Macavis and Majeski agree that this is still an area in development and that the regulations determining sobriety will need to adapt to a changing legal landscape. For Oregon News, I'm Mitch Reames. Title IX was passed in 1972. In 1973, Peg Reese was a freshman at the University of Oregon. In a time when women were not afforded the same athletic opportunities as their male counterparts, Reese played 3 sports: volleyball, basketball, and softball, and by her graduation had amassed 10 varsity letters. Knowing that she wanted a career in sports, Reese pursued coaching, where she started at the high school level.
I coached volleyball, basketball, and softball. So again, I was back into my year-round athletic career.
After a promotion to Oregon's head volleyball coach and 17 total years of coaching, Reese had to make one of the most difficult decisions of her life. As much as it pained her, she had to quit.
So all this time that I'm coaching high school for many years and then coaching in college, I'm closeted because I'm gay. I left coaching in 1993 because I had been hiding my whole life to that point. As soon as I kind of came into my sexuality, realized who and what I was, I also realized that parents weren't going to send their kids to the University of Oregon because of really irrational fears.
Last time Reese checked, the amount of out homosexual coaches in Division I is still in the single digits over all sports. After quitting coaching, Reese found a job within the PE department. 2 years later, she was the associate director, a position she held until her retirement last year. Now, Reese fights for equality through Title IX. While she acknowledges the progress made since she was an athlete, there are still steps to be taken.
I feel like I helped make progress for the female athletes at the university, but we did it step by step and kind of slowly.
The new softball facilities here at Jade Sanders Stadium are certainly a step in the right direction. But as Reese will tell you, progress does not mean the race is over. For Duck TV Sports, I'm Mitch Reames. Back to you at the desk. The Oaks at West 14th is a joint project developed by the Housing and Community Services Agency, or HACSA, and the local nonprofit Sponsors Inc. It is focused on giving ex-convicts a permanent place to call home.
We'll have to ask ourselves, if we didn't have a home, how would we feel? How would we behave?
Jacob Fox is the executive director of HACSA and believes that permanent housing is crucial to re-enter into society.
Without the housing, over 50% of the people returning return to homelessness.
The Oaks is not a typical apartment complex. It features on-site parole officers, bi-weekly drug testing, and counseling centers. Everything is dedicated to keeping its residents on the right path. One of the people who helped put this together is Paul Solomon. Solomon has a criminal record himself and knows firsthand the difficulties faced by former convicts when searching for housing.
Yet if I were to rent an apartment anywhere in Eugene, I guarantee you I would have to answer the question, have you been convicted of a felony? Is that more relevant than my work experience, my good credit, my rental history?
The Oaks is the 7th housing project in Lane County founded by sponsors. The goal for these projects is to make them feel like real homes.
They all look similar to this in that they're beautiful facilities, they're well built, they're well maintained, they're colorful, and they're beautifully landscaped. And all of our programs and buildings are designed really to be a contradiction to what people experience in jail and prison.
In the future, Solomon hopes that homes like these here at the Oaks can be used as a model for ex-convict housing across the nation. For Oregon News, I'm Mitch Reames.